Good evening, Winthrop votes. Todd Sacco and Scott McLean for our, 39th, 40th episode?
It's like 38th, 39th episode. Yeah.
Well, this one's actually going to be a very, very special episode because we have a special guest. And I kind of want to jump in because I'll probably forget all the things I was thinking about saying while the music was playing in my head, in my headphones. But just by way of a little background for me and my relationship with this particular guest, when we moved to Winthrop, I was 3 or 4 years old, and we came to Winthrop basically when it comes to sports and athleticism in the Winthrop school system, we were, me and my 2 older brothers were clearly in the shadows of the Welch boys in terms of accomplishments. And, just as a young kid, for me, my older brothers are absolutely fine with it, and I obviously am now. But as a young kid, when you're looking up to the older guys, and I don't know if you ever had that experience, but the seniors to me and the juniors and my cousins, they were like at that time gods. So I'm hearing all this stuff about DeFa, and all this pressure. And my brother Jimmy goes to plays on the team. He is a year behind our cousin Keith. They always go at it in terms of on the field, on the practice field. It's always a good battle, but there's always a little bit of a at-home dynamic of Keith knows he's just a better athlete than my brother was. So there was always that part of it. But again, in my head, I'm building up all this stuff about, oh my God, I'm going to be coming up to be playing football, and how am I going to even get an ability to play? And it's DeFa. Oh, don't forget, you got to go to football, and don't forget, like all this stuff. And then I'm getting real close, and my brother Troy dresses up as Budman his senior year.
My senior year.
Your senior year, and it blows up even at home. Like, I don't want to get into what happened at home. My father was a pretty strict guy, and it was just so I'm excited.
They shut us down that year. Our guest tonight had a big role and shut us down for that rally. We got shut totally down.
Yeah, so that is how I want to introduce Bob DeFelice, and I've already kind of let it out, but
there he is.
Yeah, bring him on.
There he is. Hey, hold on.
Oh, man. Does that ring any bells, Coach?
I should have known.
81.
It's a setup.
How you doing tonight, Coach?
I'm fine.
Excellent. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. We have guests. Like I said, we had a state rep. We've had town councilors, school committee members. We had the Board of Health, what's her name? Hurley, Meredith.
Yeah, Jeannie Hurley.
Hurley. We've had, but this is another level. This is another level.
Yep.
The state rep has nothing on you, Coach.
That's right. Let's see. Bentley Hall of Fame. They put a statue up there. They named a rank after you. Is there a dorm too? No,
it is. First of all, when you go through all of that stuff, you're looking at a Winthrop kid who literally fooled a lot of people. That's it.
The humbleness comes out right away.
Let's go with that for a second.
Right. The humbleness.
Let's go with that. Okay, fine. You got to be pretty good though to pull that off, right?
I guess.
That's like the movie Catch Me If You Can.
That's right.
They never caught him.
They still haven't caught him.
Yeah.
So really, that's what you think, huh? All right.
So you mentioned the statue. I've said this, Coach. I've said it on this show a number of times. I think there should be a statue of you at Miller Field. That's what I think. Would you be opposed to that?
Absolutely. I got to be honest with you. This, everyone's going to take this the wrong way, but everyone asks me, all these questions about it, and I never really thought about it. I was going 180 miles an hour from day one, and it was every day trying to figure out how to get better. And then as I started to step down, it slowed down a little bit. In the last couple of years, just coached baseball and got rid of the athletic director's job. And now I'm totally retired. I sit back and I start looking and I hear all this stuff. And, I am not trying to be overly modest or any of that stuff, but I'm amazed. I look back and I'm like, I can't believe I got all that done.
So,
but
that's what I want
to. Can I tell you something?
Absolutely.
And this is, and the people that know me, with all that stuff that's happened, all great stuff. This place, this town, this is still my heart and soul, and everything I think I have comes from growing up and playing in this town and having the ability to coach in this town. And the kids that I've come across in Winthrop, we call them the Winthrop kids. There's no one around like them. And I've been at Bentley coaching baseball 55 years, and it's just not. It's great. Don't get me wrong. It's great. Bentley's a great place, and it's been a great life for me. But this place, when I come back and I see people that have played, it's 10, 20, 30 years later, it's like it was yesterday. And everything was euphoric. Everything was like, it was happy days in Winthrop. Like Todd had talked earlier about the athletics, and it wasn't just the athletics. It was the whole community rallied around. The band was good. Neil Shapiro had the theater going. Every part of this town and the school department and the way everything was run was the best. Still say the best. No place like this town.
I've said that. Like I said, I was in the military for 10 years, and I met people from all over the country, and none of them really could believe the friendships that I had. I'm out in the bush in the Philippines one night with my dog. It's just an attack dog, looking for intruders. And I get a call on the radio at midnight, because we only work nights at night. And it says, you have an incoming landline at the doghouse, which is kind of our clubhouse down at our kennel. So stand by around 8 o'clock. And I'm like, what the? So that can only be one of two things. Somebody died or someone hit the lottery. So all night long, I'm just like, it's running through my head. How did they reach me? Number one. So I get off duty. I put the weapon on, and I go over there. I'm waiting, and the phone rings, and my heart jumps. And it's Jim McDonald, Phil Kelly, Kevin Talent. They found me and called me, like, in the Philippines. Now, this is 87, 88. Like, there was none of these.
Snapchat.
Like, I'm like, how? And they called and went base to transfer it to base, But that's what Winthrop kids did. The friendships, just the loyalties in the town itself. I said I took Winthrop with me everywhere I went. Yep, and I still do.
I think you're right, Coach. It's not just the athletics, but I do think things like 1980, when Aruzioni was part of that whole. I'm not trying to bring up stuff that people are starting to look at and say, it's tired. They don't understand how, from my viewpoint anyway, a lot of them don't understand how something like that really builds community. I mean, it was a wild time here, when that happened, and it was great to see. It was great to get some notoriety as a small town, and I thought it added to the level of community that we had at that time.
Coach, you left an indelible mark on literally thousands of kids. Like, there's teachers that teach chemistry, or my favorite teacher, and the one teacher. Now, you were kind of an influence on me. There was certain people that I looked up to in that school, but Mr. DeRosa was the guy,
the best,
hands down. I don't know if he's still around or not, but if I had ever got a chance to thank him for showing me that he's hardcore and you were the same way. Hardcore on your shell was Teflon, but away from that, totally different person. Totally different person. Like when you had Mr. DeRosa in his class, he was compassionate, funny, and intelligent, whimsical. He was just a really, really good teacher. But you, though, you weren't just a teacher. You had the whole school, the whole high school. You had their attention. And that's what I mean by literally thousands of students. So, and I was going to ask you, I think you might have just answered it. Do you ever look back and like self-acknowledge that and say, that's an amazing thing, because not many people on this planet get to do that, get to have that influence for that long of a time,
I think, you know what, it's difficult to answer that, because I had to speak recently and people asked me, you hear people saying what you just said. And I said, I think what all of you guys and a lot of female athletes and females, both, it wasn't just football players or athletes.
Exactly.
There was a lot of people this time. I said, I don't think you understand how much all of you guys did for me. I mean, I think I was probably the biggest kid of the whole group. Like going to school was fun. I used to say in the 70s and the 80s, you didn't even need a truant officer. Nobody wanted to skip school and miss out on anything.
Exactly.
And so it was, I'm like 80 years old right now, and I feel that I'm not 80 because what I got exposed to.
Sure.
And I don't think I was forced to keep up with you guys, everybody, but I did. And I felt that I had an opportunity to set a standard because I was, not just a football coach, but I was a Winthrop guy. And, I was like, put my money where my mouth was. I wasn't some guy coming in from outside trying to, pontificate, teach. And that was just me. That was me. I never grew up.
You were I think my senior year, you were the head of discipline.
Oh, yeah. That was a great job.
Yeah, but thanks for making me eat lunch in the locker room for 1 week.
You guys made me one food fight, and I remember that's it. I remember John Domenico said to me, "You can't do that." I go, "Why not?" You guys are in the locker room with the door closed, eating your lunch sitting on the floor.
Well,
the parents were really upset. Well, parents were usually always upset with me anyway.
Oh,
no, see, my mother. My mother wasn't going to go. She's like, I'm not dealing with this. So I had to have a meeting with you, and my brother Colin came with me. So how do you think that worked out for me?
Oh, yeah, you got your butt kicked.
Not good.
No, you didn't bring an ally with you.
He was your ally.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess when you're sitting in the chair, you don't really see it how everyone else sees the influence and the effect you had on people.
Coach, my experience, I would suggest is a little bit different, right? Like, as I was telling you earlier, I had all this intimidation. In fact, my brother ruined the whole thing for me. I'm thinking when I come in, now he's going to wonder, okay, he had Michael, Keithy, and Alan, or Alan might give me the order, whatever. And then it went to Jimmy, and then, oh my God, Troy, what's this guy? Like, in my head, I'm thinking you're prejudging me because of my lineage. And then it turns out you're actually kind of the good thing. You called me out. I don't know if you remember this. Hi, I'm number 72. I'm a social football player. I was having a bad practice and you gave me a load of crap that way. So that was a fun story. But then in the end, this was the influence on me when it came to signing yearbooks. In the end, do you remember tough question, not a cheap shot really, but I don't think you'd remember because you signed thousands, but I'm taking a shot here. Do you have any recollection of what you put in my yearbook?
No, but I don't think there was any profanity in it.
Not at all. No, we won't tell those stories because this man, as everyone in these squares knows, he could really find new ways to use words that no one else could do. No, you wrote this. You looked at me before right after you signed it. You closed it and you handed me my yearbook back, and I'll never forget this as long as I live. This is going to get me in a little bit of heat, I think. And I opened it up and you said something to the effect of, they saved the best for last, Coach DeFelice. So, oh yeah. So
Definitely had a way with words.
and I appreciate that. Like, to me, that was like, wow, I was all worried about this leading up to this. And, I didn't think I'd get a shot to play. And candidly, I think it was Coach Rosen who kind of stood up for me in the 11th grade. And that's really when I became a sled pad for, the big boys, scout team for Lanza and Rayo and those boys. So, but
Hey, Coach,
a great learning lesson.
When did you start coaching in Winthrop?
Actually, my first coaching job, I was still at Boston College, and I was asked if I was interested in coaching. I hadn't even turned 21. I was a senior at BC before I graduated. And there was a job opening at Christopher Columbus High School in the North End. It doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
And a hockey coach took a liking to me. He said, I think you'll be a good coach someday. Go see Father Carmen. They're looking for a coach. So I went down to the North End, and I'm still a senior. I hadn't graduated from college yet. It was May. And sat down. He asked me, I was in whatever, and said, we're looking for a football coach. I thought it was an assistant's job. I went back. I talked to Ed McFarland about it, and he said, I think it'd be good for you. And I come back down, and it was the head coach. I'm 21 years old. In May, I don't know the first thing about it. I mean, coaching I'm talking about. Well, a lot of people will say I didn't learn much either, but I think Ed McFarland was a tremendous help. So I am now the head football coach at Christopher Columbus High School in the North End of Boston. And I'm 10 feet off the ground, and you could have spring practice in those days, like without pads, in the first 2 weeks of June. And we had a whole bunch of kids come out, and it was, it wasn't football. I'm all excited. Summer workouts. And so we're now going into our first game. And what I found out is that Columbus hadn't won a game in 4 or 5 years. And they won a game. And we used to practice on the Charles River across from the Mass General. And then with Don Bosco was a Thanksgiving Day team. So reality started to set in a little bit. So our first game is Matignon High School, and here I am, 21 years old, just excited, think we're going to win. We're losing 30-0 at halftime against Matignon, and Ronnie Morello is a coach, and he's a friend, and they're taking quarterback sneaks not to run the score up. The next week we play BC High and lose 45-6, and then we play Mission High School. And so Mission High School, we played, and a Winthrop guy, by the way, was a quarterback on the team, Paul Gallivan.
Yeah.
He was a freshman at the time. Anyway, we beat them 16-14. And so in those days, the Catholic Conference played on Sunday, covered high school sports, and I'm all excited to get up the next day to pick up the Globe. I figure we're going to be the headline of the sports page. And there it is. Columbus trips Mission 16-12 or 14. Mission High drops football. They dropped football because they lost to us. It's a true story. Yep. That's how bad we were. So that was my introduction. And then I stayed there for 3 years, signed a contract with the Red Sox. I was teaching in Winthrop and coaching, football over there. And then went away. And when I came back after the season, I was Ed McFarland's assistant coach for a couple of years.
What year was that?
That was 68, 69.
Okay.
And then he stepped down in 1970 is when that was my first year at Winthrop, was 1970. So I was this seasoned veteran of 20 whatever. I don't know, 28.
Okay, so you coached Winthrop High School football for how many years?
I was there from 1970, and I left in 87, I think it was. I went to full time. I went to Bentley University.
So you saw hundreds of players, if not a couple thousand players, come through the system, right? So I became friends. Winthrop's a funny place. Older guys, and like Todd knows me. I'm an older guy, and this is one guy in particular, and I became friends with him through Facebook. I knew all about him growing up in Winthrop. And I'm going to give you his quote. Pat DiGregorio is the greatest quarterback ever to come out of Winthrop High School. That was Pat DiGregorio said that.
Obviously, it had to be him.
Exactly. He referenced himself in second party. He said Pat DiGregorio is the greatest quarterback ever to come out. Is that true?
I think the biggest mistake people make is when they start trying to do that. I would say that in his era, he was one of the best athletes ever. One of the best athletes.
People that was the quote. Idea. Best athlete. That's what
he was. He would have been a great pitcher in baseball. He went out for track and he won like 3 different events. He played on those basketball teams that were so successful, and the Ciotises will argue, and so won't Michael Welch. But he was a significant clog in the success of that team. And he was, unfortunately, he was my first year, he was a quarterback. He was a junior. And we won 1 game that year. And I remember he had a bad year. And I will give him credit, but a lot of the guys that played here did the same thing. They were so into football. He came back the following year and had a great year. We ended up going 9-1, I think, 8-1. The only game we lost was the Swampskip. But he's a character. You know what?
He is.
Today, as we speak today, he has not changed. But see, he to me is, and all the rest of them is what made this place. Those guys, they don't realize how much I love them deep down inside.
I think they do.
You know why? The one thing that we had in common, they love football. They love Winthrop. They love football, and football was really important to them, and they put that first. So all the goof offs and whatever you want to call them, it was like, put that aside. We didn't have all St. Thomas Aquinas guys playing for us either.
That's for sure.
I'll tell you what, during the football season, there were no football players late. They weren't in the discipline session room. They weren't giving anybody any trouble. So I think that's what I look back and say, which was, for me personally, which was always so good. And I got to be honest with you, never was a good player. Played, but I always wanted to get better. And I think the whole idea of that was inside of me. Like, I had to get better. My brother was older. He was bigger, stronger, faster, better. And my goal was always to beat him, which I never did. But, but it was always, felt like I was one step behind. And I think that was the thing that I always had inside of me and try to get across to all the guys. We got to get better. We got to get better and work at it. So
one of the greatest.
Pat's watching right now. I'm sorry, Todd. Pat's watching. Always wanted to win for coach. He just commented in. There you go.
Well, one of the greatest lessons or one of the greatest coaching techniques I've learned with the benefit of hindsight, that was when we used to do those 3/4 speed drills, right? You'd have us in our full uniforms, but we'd be going through the drills, going through the explosion period, if you will, at 3/4 speed. And one particular year when we were 0-10, we were going in, our offensive line was leading with their heads. And so you made us all take off our helmets at 3/4 speed, and instantly we weren't leading with our heads anymore. And while some people might think that was a crazy way to coach, the proper way to block is not to lead with your head. The proper way to tackle is not to lead with your head. The proper way to do those things is to use your shoulders and your hands. So it was really a great coaching lesson that I took away, obviously, after the fact.
So let me touch on that. Today it's a different generation, as we know, and we're not going to get into all that. Coach, what would you say was the biggest challenge, or what were the biggest challenges that confronted you as a coach of Winthrop football? Parents, the budget.
The parents.
You got to understand now, I grew up in this town, and a lot of the kids that I coached were sons of people I went to school with. I mean, so I wasn't like, they knew who I was, and I kept away from them. I really stayed away from the parents. I mean, the parents are always interested in their own kids' welfare, and I understand that. And my interest was in everybody. And so it wasn't like a compatible situation. And it was a small town. But I have to be honest with you, I never really had problems with the parents. I never really did. I think, again, it comes back to everybody would say, you can't coach in the town that you went to school with. And for me, I think it was the biggest advantage that I had is that I went to school here. I played here and, and it's a small town. And I think it was a big asset for me. So there weren't any challenges. The support of athletics in this community at that time was off the charts. Mike Fortunato was the superintendent. He was the greatest fan we had. Peter Finn was an assistant. He was a coach himself. Matty Boyle coached. Yeah. He was the assistant principal. John Domenico was my high school baseball coach. And so that we had, from an administrative point of view, Wallace McLean was the athletic director, and then Jimmy Evans became the athletic director, and he was a coach in the town. And so we were all on the same page, and I think we were all like, kind of rooting for each other. And, the other thing is, except for a couple of guys, everybody's from this town. John Domenico, Ed McFarland.
Yeah.
Matty Boyle could have been from this town. He was in there so long, but
from Dorchester, right?
Yeah, Henry McCarthy was from Winthrop. Jimmy Evans of Winthrop was a great athlete when he played here. So we were all Winthrop guys, and I think even people like the superintendent Mike Fortunato, he moved to Winthrop, and they all became a significant part of the community. And I think it rubbed off on the kids, not just the football, I think, and athletics, but I think that's what made Winthrop High School such a great place. And I'm prejudiced. People will say you're prejudiced. Absolutely. No question.
Why not?
I am prejudiced.
Yes.
I love this place.
Are you saying to me, I don't know if you remember this, we had a particularly nasty scrimmage game against Walpole one year where we weren't men and we got thrown out of the locker room. Do you remember that moment in time?
Actually, I do.
Okay, good.
We were absolutely manhandled,
without a doubt.
We expected not to do well. We realized that, we had we lost like 19 or 20 players.
Yep.
Well, I think we have a phone call. Hold on. You're on Winthrop Live, Winthrop Votes live stream.
Winthrop Votes live stream. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm
Who's
honestly, take one guess.
Wendy, friend of the show.
Wendy Millar.
I'm calling Wendy Millar. Yes, I'm calling because obviously I didn't play for Coach.
What?
Back in that time, girls didn't play football. Okay. But I will tell you, as someone who, I was very influenced by Coach DeFelice. He would often have the most complimentary and supportive things to say beyond the field, beyond any player. He was really there for the kids. When we were young, it didn't matter if we were in drama or if you were the top kicker. And encouraged you. And I am forever in love with Coach DeFelice. He's been a wonderful influence to me. And whenever he sees me, I still get the best hugs and feel supported, even though I don't see him that often. But it went beyond the football field. And that's something I want people to remember about him. And that's why his legacy is bigger than sports.
That's why I want a statue down at the football field.
Well, there we go. But I just wanted to say that and let people, just give my little 2 cents about Coach.
You got it. Thank you, Wendy.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See, that's what I mean. Not just football players, not just a chemistry teacher. Or
the adoration.
Everybody.
The adoration.
The whole school. So that's, there you go. There you go. So is there one particular team? Oh, I'm sorry, Todd. Were you done?
You're good. You're good.
Coach, is there one particular team that stands out to you? And I mean, just throw out I love them all. Come on. There's got to be one that stands out. Is there?
Well, yeah, you want to go back over it. It's like I go back and we had this great streak. We started to really play well after the first couple of years. I learned a lot of things, I think, probably at the expense of games that we might have lost. But I did learn a lot. And I won't say that I understood things a lot better. It's like anything else. Experience is a very important thing. So we go into a streak, and we had that run of 33 games. And I remember sleeping in my office. I was down to 147 pounds.
Jesus.
And I woke up, I got up and I was like, this is Winthrop High School. What's it like at Michigan? And well, so anyway, the next year we lose 10 games.
Yeah.
And it's the greatest. You want to talk about humility. Everybody should go 0-10. Well, 0 and whatever. Because we had the same coaching staff. We ran pretty much the same plays. We worked our rear ends off because we knew we weren't as good as the year before. We did everything, and we ended up 0-10. And you learn real fast that if you don't have good players, you're going to have trouble winning. We didn't do anything. It was one of the best lessons in my life about learning about values and all the other things. And, the whole winning thing. That's why people are saying you're always kind of dishing the whole how many games you want. I never got into it. I got into what came out of it, and on a yearly basis, on a regular basis. And I'm finding that out now, as I see it now.
So that 82 team pretty much, well, we won the game against Revere in 81. So that started the streak, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
I think we started off the season 3-0 and we ended up 4-6. Wasn't good. It went downhill fast, but we beat Revere and started that massive run. Now, is that the longest streak in the state? Has anyone broken that?
See, I don't know.
Different with divisions now, that the way they break things up.
So much different now, but.
Oh yeah, aren't we in like Div 6 or something now, or Div 5 or something?
Yeah, well, you got to remember then there was just two divisions. Division 1, Division 2. There was 4 teams that made the Super Bowl. That was it. It was a totally different world. And I think, you look back at it now, there are teams with losing records that are getting into the playoffs. It's got watered down, but
everyone gets a trophy.
It was pretty significant.
Yeah. Is there one accomplishment that stands out to you in your career, whether it's administrative, athletics, coach? Is there anything that stands out that you kind of like, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Not right. You know what? I can't. That's hard. I don't think there was. I think it was for me. It was. I can hardly wait to go to school.
Yeah.
The next day, there was never a day, no matter what. Especially when I became assistant to the principal. Now that was a challenge.
Yeah,
I had to deal with all the wacko girls that were smoking in the girls' room because and
you were
no one
used
would
to
go
that.
in. So I did. And I would go in, drag them out, throw them out of school. They come back screaming and yelling. And
did you make them eat lunch in the locker room for a week?
I don't think I got away with that one.
Maybe Bob McGrath wrote he loved the floor hockey games on Saturday morning. Coach,
I love them during gym.
Yeah,
just regular gym.
You might want to think about that as a great accomplishment, and the D football too. That you don't know how many kids you might have kept out of trouble all those years because you opened up the gym and let the kids play.
Those floor hockey games were insane.
Domenico would get pissed at me. He really would.
Yeah.
Because floor hockey, we created this game. It was supposed to be floor hockey, but so I had like my team, the teachers, and what I didn't know is that the players, the kids that we played against, they weren't really caring about winning or losing. They were trying to figure out how they could hurt us, take runs at it. The games were very aggressive.
Yeah, my brother played in that.
For being very aggressive games, intensely competitive. So the only time you could get, to play full court would be in the morning.
Yeah.
Or some days when everybody was playing or not practicing. So we would play before school. Snow, 6:30 in the morning. People are lined up at the door. Same people who were breaking records for being late for school. And Domenico would get upset because they wanted to play. The game was like out of control. It was great. It was intensely competitive, and like I said, nobody was ever late.
Yeah. So I know you kind of dabbled. I'm sorry, Todd. Did you have anything you want to say?
Keep
Todd
going.
and I usually volley back and forth, so but we're both excited to get you on. So we kind of gotta get our questions in. I know you kind of threw your hat in the ring for the school committee thing. It was kind of a last minute thing. Do you have any maybe thoughts on, now that you have a little time on your hands, to getting into Winthrop politics? Maybe too soon? Is it too soon to say? Or
That's a funny story because the year after I left, I went to Bentley. I ran for school committee, and Bob Rima, who was wrote for the transcript, one of the greatest guys that I came across in this town. He was so mad because I didn't campaign. I didn't put up signs, and I ran against the chairman, Tony. Oh God, I forget his name. How can I forget his name? He was the chairman of the school committee, and he beat me by 16 votes.
Ouch.
16 votes. And I remember Bob Rima furious. He came over my house that night because he felt I could have got elected. And I really was interested in it. And then after I left, I found out I didn't have time. So my wife just came in, Tony Evangelista.
There
you go.
The medicine man. The medicine man.
He said it was 9 votes. Anyway, I'm leaving town that next day to go to Bentley, and there he is waving at everybody. I got out of my car. I never met him before. I gave him a big hug, and I said, I owe you $1 million. I could have gone through this torture chamber, I said, for the rest, whatever. But I was interested. And then the Bentley thing became consuming. So when the position opened up recently, and I talked to for the school committee, I put my name in, as to get appointed. It was the last minute thing, and I think they felt that people who ran and campaigned for it and didn't get elected, they went to those people, which I think that's the fair thing to do. But
right.
No, I am, you know what? I am totally interested because I get so angry when I hear people knock this town and the school system, even today. It really bothers me. And, I have 2 kids that are teaching in the system, and there's a lot of kids that played for me that are teaching here. And I know what kind of kids they are. Their parents were teachers here. And I really get upset when I hear people knocking. Pick up the transcript last week and see where some of these kids are going. You got kids going to Harvard. This is not some reform school. This is a place where people are younger. Everything has changed, but still, it's the quality of the education in this town is still significant. So to answer your question, I would be interested only because of, that reason.
Okay. School committee, or would it be town council? Do you know? Or
no, I would be over my head in it. I mean, the school committee would be something I'd be interested.
Okay.
But, I'm obviously
it's an important position.
Know enough about it, and
yeah,
it's the biggest percentage of the budget. So there is that.
Yeah. Well, whenever you get interested, Coach, you let us know. You can come on anytime you want and campaign.
Well, the problem is, I'm 80, so I'm day to day from here. I'm on borrowed time.
Oh, yeah.
No, you got no. We're not hearing that. No.
I don't know if you've ever going back to you getting drafted by the Red Sox. My Uncle John, did you ever hear my Uncle John Iannelli? Because he was a player on your time too.
He signed. He was from East Boston. He came his first day. He came down on the plane. He was on the plane with me. We went to spring training together. He had a half-cut T-shirt on and ripped dungarees. Reporting spring training. Well, you know what he was like.
Oh, believe me, he won't tell me what happened. He won't tell anybody what happened. He come home, he gets signed. He come on to Princeton Street where I started my life in his GTO, his brand new 60-something GTO. I was not alive at the time. This is the story I hear about him pulling up, just getting drafted. I mean, my Uncle John, he's learned a lot of hard life lessons like a lot of us. But, boy, that was one of them. That's funny.
He could throw. I'll tell you what. He could throw. He was pretty good.
Yeah, well, he's fast, too. He was fast. His granddaughter, so his daughter's, Andrea's daughter, Jolene Murphy, is on a full boat to BC for track.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so that the genes skipped around the Sacco family. Anyway, that was great.
So what's next, Coach? What's next? Anything coming up? Just gonna chill, relax. Are you the type of guy that can relax?
No, can't do it. Someone asked me Saturday, what'd you do Saturday? I said I felt like I was killing time. I didn't have anything specific. I'm still working until the end of June. I'm running a project and building a new softball field, but I don't really know. I can't answer that, but I know I'm not. I can't.
So I'm going to give you some advice. You were the advice. You were the influence. You were I retired 2 years ago. Now I'm going to give you some advice. All right. And it goes like this. There's a lot to do in retirement, and doing nothing is one of them. But there's a lot to do. I don't know. Everybody's like, oh, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to, like I just asked you, there's plenty to do. I'm sure you will keep yourself as busy as you want to be.
No, I'm not worried. You know, I would, I said to someone, I just want to find out what it's like not having to be someplace all the time.
Exactly.
Not having to do this. So,
except for doctor's appointments.
You don't want any of those either.
I said I'm going to try to learn how to play golf, but I am so bad that it'd be a waste of time, although I'm trying. But
why would you want to torture yourself like that in retirement?
I'm fascinated by the game.
But
you could collect nostalgic cereal boxes and their fat heads like Scott.
This is my studio. This is what I do in retirement. It's my studio.
That's excellent.
So, Coach, I asked my brother Colin. I said, Coach Steve is coming on the show tonight. Do you have any questions for him? And he said, no. Just thank him for being the man that he is. That was his quote. So, there you go.
I'll be honest with you. See, that is to me, I think what I really believed in, and I try to get that across. I never openly said it, but I think my goal was, I always thought it was important to be a man. Like in the true definition, a man. Now, I can't define it for you. And so the more I see and hear people who come out, we only ran 4 plays. It wasn't like New York.
Yeah.
Everyone makes fun of. Everybody knew the plays you were running. And
color.
We were very limited. But I remember someone wrote an article complaining because we didn't throw the ball enough. It was at the end. We were during the streak, and I remember John Hayes came in, and it was an article in the Lynn item, killing me in the paper about chewing tobacco, wouldn't let the parents come to practice, and didn't throw the ball enough. So poor John Hayes comes walking in, and I the next day, and I think he felt, that his mother wrote the article. So I said to him, asked him what was wrong, and we brought up the article. I said, it wasn't, don't worry, it wasn't your mother. I said, all the words were spelled correctly, so it couldn't have been. It was like a standing joke. I don't think she's going to laugh when she hears it, if she is. But anyway, so the editor asked me before he put it in, so he put it in. So the next day I wrote an apology to all the people in the town of Winthrop. Now, we had won, how many games? I said, I really apologize. What I realized is we won too many games, and we should have thrown the ball more.
I think I remember that.
What a wise ass.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to step. I was a Winthrop kid. I was no different than you guys.
Oh, I love it. That's a
I'm not going to say who told us, but I said earlier, you have a way with words and you have a way to, and there was one person that I spoke to and told me this story, and I won't say who it is, but you looked at him one time, he's playing football, and you said, which today would be absolutely insanely and politically incorrect. And you said, your father's slow, your mother's slow, therefore.
That could have been a lot of people.
Exactly. He told me this, and I could not stop laughing. So therefore,
I was live for one of those quotes. One of my favorite quotes from Coach was in film session. Chips Moran was the center for. We were in the 0-10 season, and Coach goes, okay, Chips, I just want you to stand up when you actually block somebody. Just even if you touch more Grayson, just stand up and do it. And we went through play after play, and he would rewind it and go for, did you block anybody here? Oh, the poor kid.
Well, he learned a lesson.
Yes, he did.
My son, who ended up going into coaching, said to me, Dad, you could never coach today. He said,
you'd be in trouble.
You'd go to jail for some other thing. I said, Mike, I should have gone to jail 30 years ago.
No, it was back then. It was like, if you got it, like my mother would be like, if you got it, you deserved it. That's it.
Well, the film sessions really, too bad they weren't tape recorded because
those were great. I love them. I loved that was some gold.
Yeah.
I told my father about getting thrown out of the locker room, had to change in the I thought it was funny. He goes, yeah, I think it's great too. He goes, you don't think you're not going to go down there and say something? He's like, why? He's like, I'm glad they're beating you up. You probably deserved it.
Yeah. It's a little different today, Coach. A little different today.
Yeah, well, everything has changed. It's like anything else. And, I think you have to adapt. I saw that, now I'm not here. I'm at Bentley. You cannot believe how different it is in private education, higher ed. You talk about fragile.
Yeah.
It's like.
So you watched this all develop. You did right in front of you. This from, being like we talked about earlier, and you mentioned it, and Todd and I are on the same page with that. Like, man up, be a man, man up.
Yeah.
I don't blame the kids though. I tell you what, I think so. People ask me, 55 years, really? There must be a real difference in the kids. I said, I think the kids today are better because they got to deal with so many distractions, so many other things. There's so much available.
That's a good point.
And they're being brought up now, like all of us. Failure was the thing that you feared and you didn't want to fail. You did. We all did. It wasn't like, but we experienced it and we figured it out because our parents were, you don't like it, go to work. In fact, you're going to go to work if you don't shut up and stop complaining.
Yeah.
So we got exposed to that element called parents. Today's parent, they don't want their kids to fail. They don't want any failure in their lives. I mean, I see it even in my own family. And it's like, you know what? It's an important part of their development. No one wants to see it. You don't wish it on anybody.
Heartbreaking.
And I think that's what the change has been. And their involvement, it's all good. I mean, it's not negative. It's because they want so much, for the kid. The older parent back a couple of generations, they didn't have that time. They were working, Winthrop was a legitimate blue collar town, back in those days. And there was a lot of hard working people.
Yeah.
And it rubbed off on their kids. But personally, I think, with all the stuff they have to deal with, I don't know how they do it. I really don't. I
think they grow up with it. So it's kind of just part of their environment. They grow up with it, and it's like you're a product of your environment. You imitate your atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I think they just do it, and we look at it and go, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, really?" But back then though, failure was a motivating factor. It was just a motivating factor. It needed to happen, and parents let it happen. They didn't like it, but they never came down on you either. Like, how many parents did you have nagging you saying, how come my kid isn't playing?
I didn't
Couldn't have
really
been that
get
many.
any of that. No, I didn't
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah. So you see so you watched it all kind of evolve, but you evolved with it. You stuck around long enough. Evidently, you adjusted well, or you, like you said at the beginning of the show, you did a good job at faking it.
I don't really think I adjusted. I think I understood more.
Understood. Okay.
I don't really think, I would be the right thing to say on that. I didn't really clean up my act. Is that a good way of saying it?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think I just, I started adjusting, I started understanding a lot more. Saw how more difficult it was starting to become for players. And so I don't think my expectation changed, but I think back to the same thing is still the goal was, like I tell the kids at Bentley when they were playing baseball, and baseball is a different sport than football. I said, I'm not going to teach you how to hit. I'm not going to teach you. Nobody can teach you how to hit. I can't get you throwing the ball 81 miles an hour. I'm not going to get you to throw 95. But you're going to learn how to behave like a baseball player, and you're going to act like a man, and you're going to learn something about responsibility. And I feel
and
good.
Accountability.
I really feel good that happened up there. And it wasn't something that you really had to get across in the era or the time I was here in football. They all got it. You guys, you talk to all the guys that that played, like Todd, you can talk to the Welches. They all got it. They all got it, not after the fact. They got it while they were playing.
Yep.
Now, it wasn't easy, and I'm not going to deny it. I was really hard because it wasn't demanding, but I just felt that's what was necessary. This is who I am. I'm no pretense. I'm not making it up. I'm not copying anybody. This is who Bob DeFelice is. This is what he stands for. And if you're going to play here, then you're going to own up to being somewhat responsible going down those lines. So
I think we all figured that out. You had no choice. Had no choice.
And you got all these years of experience, Bob, right? You've got all this coaching under your belt, and athletic directors, different communities, different types of people with the college experience. If you were giving young parents one piece of advice as they're bringing kids into this world, what would it be?
Bringing them into the world?
Yeah, like raising them, like getting these kids.
I thought you were going to say beforehand. I was going to.
We can't talk about that. Well, yeah, you want to let's go.
Instead of getting, think about getting a dog instead of having a couple of more.
No, you're not going to get off that easy.
No, here's what I see. I see them now where kids are coming to Bentley with their parents, and I'm listening, seeing all the things. Let your kid be 15 years old. When I was 15, it was the greatest thing in the world. And I don't think kids are allowed to be 15, 16, or 17. You got to know where you're going to go, what courses you're taking, what am I going to do, what am I going to major in. And I used to kiddingly say to them, yeah, I'm in my 70s and I still don't know what I really want to do. But it's kind of really, they're not allowed to be 15, which was 15, 16, 17. Those were great years in your life as a kid. Yeah. So let them be that. But I don't think the pressures, I think the pressures of our society are not allowing that to happen. So it's not really so much the parent, it's all the pressures that they have.
I think you're onto something there, Coach. And I think we as parents have a responsibility. I mean, I'm raising my kids that way. If you don't want to go to college, you do not have to. If you want to take a year off and scrub toilets, you may. I mean, this is your life. You need to find your passion and follow it. So I think we need to force this change to save our society. It's not as much a focus about the family as it used to be, I don't feel. And so I think that's sound advice. It's the focus on the kids.
All right. Well, listen, Coach, we're going to wrap this up. We've kept you long enough. You got a lot to do. You got a lot of things to look. You got to plan your day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's going to be up late tonight, so I took a nap today.
He's like me. I'd be in bed by now normally.
But the Celtics are on in what?
No, I know.
7 minutes, right?
Pretty soon.
Yeah. Was it as bad? Listen, so am I a nut? Was I everything they told you I was going to be?
You know what? I'm thrilled because it gave me an opportunity. I don't know how many people will see this, but
Couple hundred.
Gives me an opportunity to try to get a message out about this community, and it's still the best. It's the best.
And you know what? They don't realize it until they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
That's when I really realized. I knew I was in a great spot. I just knew it.
Yeah.
Like just where the location is, like, right there, good hit and run into the city, do your business, your madness, then head back to a little alcove, a little peninsula. But you don't really appreciate it until you're gone from it. And everybody, to a person that I know that left Winthrop, always goes back, whether they visit or however it works out. And actually myself, Bob Gillis and Jack Calabrese, every year until COVID came up, we actually put a town party together at the Elks. And it's everybody, the whole town. It's $20. We got a DJ, food, thing, just to get everyone together. Everybody has these things now, and it's Facebook and social media, but there's nothing like just getting together with your friends. And Winthrop does it better than anybody else.
Sure do.
I'll tell you one last thing that probably one of the most significant things is when they tore the high school down and they had that reunion that night.
Yes.
And these people all came back, a ton of people. That was still, I remember, I don't think I moved for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Seeing all these people coming back and everything was a great memory. It was nothing. You threw me out of school and I didn't do anything. It was like all positive, how much they missed and how great this was. And to me, I think it kind of really summed up what Winthrop, what it was like to grow up in this town and to be able to go to school here. And then the bonus ball was playing. And if you guys remember, we were the smallest school and probably in the conference and the most successful because we had so many kids playing 3 sports. And our women's programs went off the charts. I mean, there was a time when, they used to win the show up and they win the track. Ronnie Spinney would, if he came in second, he was like ready to, jump off the bridge. So success was also consistent, with all the things that were going on. That did help a tremendous amount. But
absolutely. Anyway. Well, what do you got? Anything, Todd?
No, I'm good, Coach. I want to thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully you might be interested in doing it again sometime.
I don't know. I would. Maybe the people. You might lose some viewers after.
No, we don't care. We don't care. We really don't care. We're not getting paid for this. We don't get paid by the ratings. And anyways, about probably each week, live streaming it's a little different. Like you get the actual views of the people watching. It's the after views account, and this show averages about, I don't know, between 200 and 300 views a week. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because there's people that are working. People will watch it, tomorrow, or tomorrow night. So, and I'll replay this all weekend. So you're going to get your time, Coach.
Yes, all right.
You'll get your time.
Thanks.
And I want to thank you for coming on. In my opinion, this was our best show yet.
Yes, it was.
And I'm not just saying that to be humble. No, like you, I say what I want to say, and I mean what I mean. This was, to me, the best show yet. So,
well, it was
thanks
great
for coming
on,
Coach.
To be able to express my appreciation for everything that this town did for me and all the guys the people that I came in contact with. I mean, it's like I told you earlier, I'm 80, but I feel like 45.
Yeah.
With all the new parts I have to put in. But it's
the bionic man.
I was lucky.
Yeah. We're glad you're still here.
All right.
One more round of applause for the coach. Look at that audience. Look at that audience. They're going nuts, Coach. All right, Coach. Thank you very much.
See you next time.
All right. Go Celtics.
Oh, so we're about to lose people to the Celtics, huh?
Yeah. I don't think we're going to go beyond this. I know we had a...
Yeah, no, we can save it. We may even... Well, we could talk
more
offline about a special, maybe.
Yeah. What's today? Today's Monday, right?
Yep.
I'm not doing anything tomorrow night.
All right. I'll look at my calendar on that because, we have, so just for the people who are viewing and will be viewing this, I have some information, leaked information, relative to negotiations in the town of Winthrop. There has been a significant amount of posturing and bullying happening. There's been an outrageous ask on the part of the teachers union. The Mass Teachers Association president is actually part of this discussion. And I think it's offensive to have someone in here negotiating with our school committee who has nothing to do with our schools. So these are the things I want to talk about. And I think we should have a special show for it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing my live stream podcast Wednesday night, and then I do the King of Facebook Insanity on Thursday night.
Yeah.
So
Gonna have to be tomorrow, if at all. I have to get back.
It could be tomorrow or Friday night. I'm not doing anything Friday night.
Okay, good. I can get back to you on that. All right, very good.
All right,
buddy.
All right, take us out, man. Take us out.
Yeah. So, I mean, the old tagline, all politics starts at the local level. Or you know what? But this tonight was about the local level. And I thought this was great. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Again, like you always say, our fans are the engine that keeps us going.
Oh, there you go.
Followers, I should say. All I'm saying is, hey, I'm glad we're giving them some content to keep going.
You stole my tagline again.
I didn't finish it.
I couldn't let you. That's my tagline, Tom.
I wasn't gonna finish it.
That's just mine. How do you?
He's heartbroken.
No, I'm going to say it anyways.
Yeah,
I want to thank everyone for watching. You are the engine that drives this machine. If it wasn't for you, then it would just be me talking to Todd. And well, sometimes that doesn't go well.
Yeah, clearly it's not good.
All right. Maybe we'll see you tomorrow night. If not, we will definitely see you next Monday night.